Between 2006 and 2011, 700 people were charged with misdemeanors in Florida because they were unmarried couples living together. Really let that sink in. This is very recent. Between 2006 and 2011, 700 people arrested in Florida on misdemeanors, or charged with misdemeanors, I should say, because they were unmarried couples living together. In fact, today in Florida, the current law still gives you either a $500 fine if you're caught in this situation, or up to 60 days in jail for living together as an unmarried couple. That's it. That's it. $500 fine or 60 days in jail. It's so sad to hear this story. So finally, two Democrats, State Senator Eleanor Sobel and State Representative Ray Winkle Vasilinda, forgive me if I butcher that, have filed legislation to repeal the law, which has been on the books since 1868. We were still enforcing a law put on the books in 1868 today. I mean, those are like, what this reminds me of is the laws that say no sodomy, no oral sex, no anal sex, period. Not even just for gay people, which is what a lot of people think those laws mean. No, that even means for straight people and married couples. That means if your wife gives you a blowjob, you might get put in jail. Those laws existed. They were struck down fairly recently. I mean, what was it? Lawrence versus Texas, I think in 2003, which struck down all these laws in all the different conservative states. Keep it real, they're the only ones that have shit like this. That recently. But this is still on the books. And we don't know yet how they're going to go on this, but there was an attempt in 2011 to repeal this law. Didn't work. It failed. Somebody brought up the most common sense bill ever proposed. It failed. And in fact, I have a quote here from Republican Dennis Baxley at the time. This is what he said, quote, "I'm not ready to give up on monogamy and a cultural statement that marriage still matters." Okay, this is coming from the same people that argue for small government. We believe in small government because we believe in freedom and liberty, and big government is tyranny, and it shouldn't get in your way. And it's terrible when big government ruins shit. Anyway, can we now pass that law which fines people or throws them in jail for living together if they're unmarried? Can we do that, please? That is the biggest government I've ever heard of. There was another story we did a while back. I forget which state it was in, but there was a Republican who proposed a bill to make it really hard to get a divorce. They wanted to add, like, the state forces you to go to marriage counseling and then classes and then all these different steps and this different process you have to go through before you get a divorce. Like, wait a second, I thought you, a Republican, believed in small government. But when it comes to the most intimate matters, the most private matters, who you live with, how you choose to live your life, what kind of a relationship you're in, what decision you're going to make in terms of your future living arrangements, they want the government right in your fucking business, right in your face. What are you doing? What are you going to get a divorce? Why are you going to get a divorce? I didn't approve this. I'm the state. I get to decide whether or not you want to get a divorce. I thought we don't live in a country where free individuals make free choices. No. We're going to get it. No, you got to go to this class. Go to this class. Go to this class. Because obviously the state knows that you didn't try to work it out beforehand. The state can't trust your decision as two adults that when you agree that, hey, we want to get a divorce. The state needs to get in and say, I don't believe you yet. So now you got to go through this process. The state tells you when you're an unmarried couple living together, wait, I didn't approve that. I'm your daddy. Remember, you know how the Republicans always scream about nanny state? What about this nanny state? What about this? We're not going to allow you to live in that circumstance. Even though they're the parents of the couple might be like, rock and roll, I don't give a fuck. But the state's like, no, we're your nanny. We're your daddy. We get to choose. We're going to tell you who you can and cannot live with. Don't ever use the fucking word freedom and liberty around us again. Are you fucking kidding me? And then also understand, man, this is another perfect example of what I refer to as the cultural bias. And what that means is it's people who are not smart, who are raised in a certain society, in a certain culture, and they think that just because they are in that culture and that society, that therefore their culture and their society is factually correct, and every other one is just wrong and bad, and they're doing the wrong thing. So the perfect example of this is religion. If you're raised in America, in the South, you're going to be a fucking Christian because you were raised in a Christian household. But the thing is, people start to believe that for whatever reason, we are right. We're the ones that have it right. Our specific version of Christianity is factually correct. This is the one true religion. But then the same person, if that person was born and raised in another place, they could be Hindu, and in another place they could be Buddhist, and another place they could be Muslim. If they were born, years ago in Rome, they could believe in the Roman gods, they could believe in the Greek gods. If they were born in the Amazon, they believe in jungle pagan gods. And with how stupid these people are, they're just dim bulbs, with how not bright they are, wherever they are, they think, well, obviously it's factual. Well, obviously the Scientology is true because my mommy and daddy were Scientologists and I learned Scientology. I was raised in Scientology. So it's obviously correct. I learned it. This is the same thing here. Well, I was raised in a situation where you only live together if you're married. If you're one man and one woman and you're married. That's the only thing that makes sense because that's what I learned. Well, fuck you. Who gives a shit about what you learned? What about unmarried couples living together? What about gay couples living together? What about living situations where there's 4 people or 5 people living together? What about polygamous situations? What about single people? There's all these different things, all these different ways of living together in different scenarios, and you just dismissed all the ones you don't like, and you make them illegal. You're all so stupid. You're not smart. How many times do I have to say this? You're not smart. You're trying to control little menial aspects of people's lives, and you think that that's what morality is. Morality is forcing you to live how I learned to live, even though I can't prove that the way I live is actually correct. So fuck your morality. Your morality isn't true. You made it up. You were raised in a cultural situation which told you that that was true. Your morality isn't any better or worse than some random guy who I picked from Milwaukee who can tell me what his opinion is on the situation. But you want to force it on us via law. Shove it up your ass. You're not smart. Don't dictate my life. You know nothing about my life. You don't know anything. You haven't thought these things through. You just make things illegal on a whim because you think that maybe it's wrong because your mommy and daddy told you and that's the tradition of the system that you live in. Fuck that. Let people do what they want, man. And then meanwhile, you're concerned with matters like this, menial things like this, dictating people's private lives. And when it comes to, hey, there's 750,000 people that fall in the Medicaid gap in our state that can get Obamacare if we just fucking sign. The governor just signs his name, a squiggly line. He can save 750,000 people and get them health insurance. But on that one, no. Why? That's big government. We don't want big government getting in our way. Anyway, again, give me the bill that bans people from living together if they're not married. I appreciate that. Anyway, back to how big government sucks and how the government shouldn't be involved in healthcare. 17,000 people are going to die across all the United States of America because certain red states refuse to implement the Medicaid expansion under Obamacare. 17,000 people are going to die. Being against the policy which would save 17,000 American lives, that's immoral. That's where morality comes in, but you're out to fucking lunch on that one because you're too busy worrying about people living in different circumstances that you're uncomfortable with. These guys are what's wrong with America.